This is March 28, 2023, Wednesday, and we are in BBA section A. And we'll begin by inviting someone here, and they will tell us what we did in class yesterday. So let's invite roll number 3. You are not in the camera focus. Go on. If possible, remove the mask. Your voice will be audible. If there is no other problem.
It was a question to explain the concept of divided line and the idea of allegory. Give in detail.
There is a question, and you are not able to answer this question.
Yesterday you gave.
Okay, read the question again loudly.
Explain the concept of divided line and the idea of the allegory of the cave.
Explain the context of the allegory of the cave and the idea of the divided line. We talked about that. Okay, and then what else?
You told that there are two realities, ideal, eternal and material.
Okay, ideal, eternal versus material. Good, two realities. Okay, go on.
Plato says in this world we gain scientific knowledge through hypothesis testing.
Okay, we talked about how in the material world knowledge is formed. Just a minute. We talked about how knowledge is formed in the material world through hypothesis testing. We have a problem, we ascertain the cause of the problem, we verify the cause, we check the cause through sensory knowledge, and then if the data supports our conclusion about the cause, we accept. If the data rejects, we reject, and we move ahead and we form knowledge. Yes, go on.
Knowledge based on your sensory experience.
Okay, knowledge based on sensory experience. Good. Versus?
Empirical.
Knowledge which is based on senses is known as empirical. Right? And the other knowledge which is not based on senses, you can call it suprasensory. Or knowledge based on intelligence. Knowledge based on intelligence. Go on.
Plato says reality can be known through wisdom, intelligence and reason.
Okay. Yes, what else?
How to get from material cause to ultimate cause.
Okay, getting from material cause to ultimate cause, or from the visible world to the intelligible world. Okay, from opinion to truth. Yes.
Material realm through spiritual realm.
Okay, material realm to spiritual. What else? Anything else? That's all? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, can someone tell me what was the last thought in class yesterday that we were talking about? Anyone? The last thought. What was the last slide, last idea that we were talking about? Someone remind me? Okay. Can someone just remind me, sir, when you left the class, you were talking about this idea. If you see your notebook, just I want to pick up from the same idea and continue. What was the idea or topic or theme or idea that I was talking when I left the class? Yeah. Okay, I asked you to write about the concept of the divided line and the allegory of the cave as a writing practice. Did I do that? And I said you go home and you cam scan and mail me. Did you do that? Did you cam scan and mail me? Because that assignment you did in the class brings you marks. That's for internal evaluation. So if you have written, cam scan and mail me with the name. I'll save it. And if you have written, it brings you marks. Okay? Okay. What I plan to do today is, in this class today, I will quickly take you through some slides here. I will take you through some slides Just a minute, yes. Just as a quick reference, I want you to know quickly what are the themes, ideas, issues we have in this allegory. This video will be on YouTube. You can watch back again, or you can note down as I present it to you. So first we began by understanding what philosophy is, and we said that philosophy is the rational and abstract study of reality. For example, in this allegory, the question that Plato is trying to answer is, what is reality and how we can know reality? Then the second thing we did that genre. We said that genre is a style of writing in literature. For example, poetry is a genre, essay is a genre. And then we said the genre of this text that we're studying in chapter 1 is dialogue, right? Then we introduced Plato, and we said that Plato was the student of Socrates, and he was the teacher of Aristotle, right? And he was a great philosopher who documented the teachings of Socrates, and he founded academy, a school which lasted more than 1,000 years. And Plato, the topics he wrote on was metaphysics, ethics, politics. Metaphysics is the reality which is beyond physical material. And then ethics is right and wrong. Okay. Then we said that the genre of Plato's writing is dialogue, and in this dialogue we have minimum two parties, and often these two parties include a teacher and a student. And the teacher is learned, enlightened, scholarly figure, and the student is in ignorance, he doesn't know the reality, and the teacher and the student have a conversation. And this conversation is the dialogue they have, and the teacher often puts a question, answers the question, the student often nods or shakes the head and move on, and by the end of the dialogue, the confusion that the student has is clarified. Okay. Then we call this method, I talked to you earlier right now, this method of teaching students through dialogue is known as Socratic Method. We call this Socratic Method because this method was used first by Socrates. Socrates would gather young people in Athens, and he would make them sit around him, and then Socrates would pose questions to his friends, his young people, and they will have a conversation in the form of a question and answer, and through this questioning and answering and conversation they will understand difficult concepts of philosophy. And this style of teaching is known as the Socratic method of teaching. Okay, then we learned about thesis, antithesis, synthesis. We have an idea. For example, the idea of day. The idea of day. Now we have an opposite idea, the idea of night. So if, let's say, day is thesis. Thesis is always that idea which is privileged. For example, in Nepali culture, traditional culture, it's a wrong thing, but in traditional culture we'll see that sons are privileged in many families against daughters. That's the wrong thing. So the son is privileged. So now the son is thesis. The daughter, which is not privileged, becomes the antithesis. Now, when someone's son is married to someone's daughter, and the two come together in the form of husband-wife marriage and have a child, then we have synthesis. Coming together is synthesis. For example, day is thesis, night is antithesis. Now what is synthesis? Evening is synthesis. Why do we call evening synthesis? Because in the evening we have the quality of the day as well as the quality of the night. So evening is neither fully day nor night. Evening is both day and night. Because the quality of day and night is present in evening, they come together. This is evening synthesizes the quality of day as well as the quality of night. So we can say the evening is synthesis. Now in our study, we have one idea, we have opposing idea. There are two opposing ideas. One is thesis, other is antithesis. Now we find a harmony or common ground between the two opposing ideas. Our attempt to find common ground between the two opposing ideas is known as synthesis. And if we find a common ground between the two ideas, we have a new thesis. And if we have a new thesis, there will be again a new antithesis. This is how knowledge develops. This is how knowledge develops. And this method of knowledge formation, this method of knowledge construction, this method of knowledge development is known as dialectic method. What do we call it? Dialectic. In dialectic method, we have two parts, two factors. One is opposed to the other. And these two factors which oppose each other somehow arrive at a meeting point. And that meeting point leads to the formation of new knowledge. And this idea of thesis, antithesis, synthesis, new thesis, you will understand best in the second chapter by Karl Marx, the Communist Manifesto, where we'll talk about how society has classes, the rich versus poor, and how the rich and the poor fight, and how this fight between the rich and poor develops society. Okay. Then, yes, I explained that, the method to you, I won't spend time. Now, Plato's philosophical idealism. Okay, the word idea can be contrasted against the word material. For example, this is a material purse. This is a material purse, and this is a material currency. I have this money. So I have a material, concrete money. Now, if I put it in my pocket now I have the idea of money in my mind. I have 1,000 rupees idea of the money. Now, this is not idea, but now this is where did I place it? I don't know. Yes, concrete, now idea. Right? So reality has two forms. The concrete physical form, I can tear it if I want to, I can throw it if I want to. Concrete physical form versus ideal form, right? Abstract form. And Plato says that the abstract form is real than the concrete form. For Plato, ideas are real, not their physical manifestations. For Plato, ideas are real than their physical manifestations. When I finish my class and leave your class and your mathematics class starts, still my ideas will linger in your mind. You will recall me, I was there in this class earlier. So when I'm not in this class and you recall me, you have the idea of Divakar sir. And Plato would say that idea of Divakar sir is eternal, everlasting than the body of Divakar sir, because Divakar sir's body might die, but the idea of the teacher will never die. Okay, that is called as idealism. Put simply, the idea that ideas are more real than physical manifestations is called idealism. Okay, then you have context. This allegory of the cave, the text, the dialogue we're reading in these days, this has been taken from Plato's book Republic. Plato had political thinking also. He was a political philosopher also. Plato believed in goodness and Plato believed in justice. He said that there are two things that can create a perfect society: goodness and justice. See, keep the word in mind. Goodness and justice. And Plato wrote a book in 10 volumes. The name of the book was Republic. And in that book, Plato described the process how we can create a better society, a perfect society. What is a perfect society? A perfect society is that society where we have perfect goodness. Nobody is bad. Everybody is good. And a society where we have perfect justice. So the word goodness and the word justice, they are ideas. They are ideas. Perfect justice and perfect goodness. Okay. And this allegory is taken from, this dialogue is taken from that book. Okay. Dialogues in the Republic, yes. The genre of Republic is dialogue, right? The whole 10 volume is dialogue, conversation. Then, okay, I'll skip it. How we number. For example, the dialogues are numbered in a system that is known as, we call this as Stephanus pagination. Just forget that. Not compulsory, necessary. What is an allegory? An allegory is a literary device. An allegory is a literary device. Allegory is a story in which a set of objects is compared with another set of objects. And the purpose of this comparison between two different sets of objects is to teach you a moral lesson. For example, in this allegory of the cave, the title tells you that the cave is a physical object, geological formation. Now this cave is compared to the world. So what does cave stand for? The cave stands for the world. The cave stands for the world. What do the shadows stand for on the wall? The shadows on the wall stand for false belief, false opinion. What do the people walking through the road, whose shadows appear on the wall, what do they represent? The people on the walking through the road, they represent objects in nature. And these objects in nature are truer in comparison to shadow. Although these objects in nature are not perfectly true. The objects, the people walking through the path, they are not perfectly true. But they are truer in comparison to the shadows. Now, what does the fire represent? The fire stands for the sun. Just as the fire is causing the shadow. And we need to understand that the shadows are false, the people are false. It is the fire that is creating the shadows. In the same way, we need to understand that the sun is making us see everything. Just imagine tomorrow morning the sun does not rise. What will happen? We won't be able to see anything. So we understand truth. We understand reality through sun. And the sun stands for ultimate goodness. The sun symbolizes ultimate goodness and justice. So allegory, okay, which makes a comparison between two things with the purpose of teaching a lesson. Then the context of this thing, let's quickly, I will skip it. You can read this slide at home. Okay, theme of Plato's allegory of the cave. The theme of this dialogue is, can human beings know truth? Do we possess the ability to know the truth? The answer is yes, we can know the truth. But there is a condition. The condition is, if we want to know the truth, we need to study philosophy. We need to study philosophy. If we want to know the truth, we need to study philosophy. How can philosophy help us know the truth? The answer is, philosophy can help us know the truth because philosophy teaches us reasoning. It teaches us critical reasoning. It teaches us reflection. And it is through reasoning and critical reflection that we can arrive at reality or arrive at the knowledge of truth. Right? Okay. The other theme, there are many themes. The other major theme in this dialogue is the idea of philosopher king or rulers as philosophers. Who is a philosopher? Philosopher is a person who believes that this material world is false. If a person believes that this material world is false, such a person will not have any greed or desire for material possessions. If you do not have any greed or desire or interest for material possessions, then you will not take bribery from other people. You will not be corrupt when you become ministers. You will not loot the property of your country when you become prime minister, for example. Then if you do not loot the country, if you do not take and give bribery, you are honest. And if you are honest, you will be a better ruler. Today, our problem in Nepal is our rulers are not honest. And why are our rulers not honest? Because they believe that material possessions are the reality. As a result, they take all the money, they deposit in the bank in foreign country, people say. They misuse power and office, chair. And people, Nepalese are in trouble. Why this is happening? Because our rulers are not like philosophers. So if they were like philosophers, they will start thinking that this material possession is nothing. Once they think like this, they'll be honest. Once our rulers are honest, they will rule our country better. Once our country is ruled better, we will have perfect goodness in Nepal and perfect justice in Nepal. Okay. Then Plato's, I told you, the idea of philosopher king, I explained you. Okay. Now I go to the dialogues in the book. For example, in the first paragraph in your book, the key word is nature. What does nature mean? Nature means the essence of or reality of the things. For example, the nature of this thing is soft. It is soft. Right? You can bend it easily. And nature of this thing is it can hold something. It can hold something. Whereas the nature of this thing is hard. It is hard. Right? Everything has its essential quality. Everything has its essential quality. So the word nature means the essential quality of anything. Like we say human nature. When we say human nature, we mean essential quality of the human being, for example. Right? So, okay, nature also means something that can be known by reason and not by senses. Nature, you can understand the essence only through reason. You cannot understand the essence through your senses. I repeat, essence can be known only through reason, not through senses. Okay. I'll skip, you can read at home. Then, okay, central idea, okay, yes. Most people in our world, in society, we people are like those prisoners. Look at the comparison. We people, you and me, we are like the prisoners. How? Because we are living in cave. Cave means ignorance. We are living in ignorance. And we see only shadows of reality. Just as the prisoners were looking. And like the prisoners, we also think that the shadows are real. We never turn back. We never see the people walking. We never see the fire. We never see the sun. We never go out of the cave. We look at false things, the shadows, and we think that the shadows are real, whereas they are just shadows of the reality. Right? Okay. Then some various themes in this allegory are like this dialogue talks about nature and limit of human perception. This dialogue is about how much human beings can know. how much human beings can know, and what is the limitation to our ability to know. Second theme is appearance and reality. The shadows on the wall are appearances. The people behind are reality. The fire is higher reality. The sun is highest reality. Right? At the bottom are shadows. You can just quickly. Did I bring the marker? Yes. Where did I place the marker? Yes. If you have at the bottom, you have the shadows. At the top, you have the sun's light. Right? Below sun's light, you have the fire. Right? Below fire, you have the objects. Right? So shadows are false. Objects which are causing the shadow are truer than the shadows. Fire is truer than the objects. Sun is truer than the fire. So our purpose is we need to move upward. The soul should move upward. And you will see that this realm is intelligible and this realm is visible. Okay. Then the other theme is, importance of philosophical reasoning. We can arrive at truth only through philosophical reasoning, not by senses. We can know truth only through philosophical reasoning, not through sensory perception. The next theme is about education and enlightenment. How should we educate people? We should educate people in a philosophical way. What should be the purpose of education? What should be the purpose of education? Answer is, the purpose of education should be making everybody a philosopher. Making everybody a philosopher. Why? Because if you are a philosopher, you'll be good. If you become philosopher, you'll be good. If you are a philosopher, you will believe in justice. And if everybody believes in goodness and justice, the society will be better. The next theme is individual society. Look, Plato believed that society is more important than a person. And Plato believed that individual persons should not be given absolute freedom. If Plato was today in Nepal, he will be unhappy. Because today we have extreme freedom. We can do whatever we like. But Plato says no. Every individual must serve the purpose of the state. And people should do what the state tells them to do. So in a sense, Plato believed in dictatorial rule. The people should do whatever the state says because the individual is a means for the society. Society is more important than you. You should sacrifice. You should sacrifice your interest for the interest of the society. The next thing is responsibility of the philosopher to guide others to look in the what happens in the allegory. The prisoner who walks out of the cave and looks outside and knows about the sun and the pool and world. Once he went out, saw the reality, understood that what is in the cave is false, what is outside is true. Now that person who had gone out, he is enlightened, he is learned, he knows the reality. Now such a person has a responsibility. What? He should not say, "Malai thaha bhayo, yी मूर्खहरू कोठा बसिरहेछन् केभमा म त्यहाँ किन जाने, म फर्केर जाँदिन." If he says like that, it's wrong. He shouldn't say, "I won't go back. Leave them, let them live in the cave in ignorance." No. An enlightened teacher, an enlightened philosopher, an enlightened leader must come back to the people. He should come back to the people. And he should inspire all people to become enlightened like him. He should do his best to change society. A leader is that. A leader is that who does not think about his interest. A leader is that who thinks about the benefit of the masses. So that person who had gone out, he should come back. And he should inspire people to walk out. He should teach people that this is false, that is true. And therefore, the philosophers have this responsibility of guiding the ignorant people to reality. Pade lekhe kole na pade kola ite guide garnu paryo ni, right? Okay. Then okay. I will explain, nothing is important there. I'll move ahead quickly and I'll explain things only here. I'll explain. Yes. What does being mean? In this paragraph, which is paragraph number 15, it's a long paragraph. There is a word being. When you study Plato, please pay attention to two expressions, two words. Time and again, I don't know if it catches me or on the board. Oh, just a minute. Okay. Plato uses the word, look, world of becoming versus the world of being. So, the world of becoming means the sensory perception. The sensory perception. For example, let's read. Being refers to the true essence or reality of things. Look. True essence or reality. And this is copy. This is copy. This is shadow. This is false. This is opinion. Right? So, becoming means appearance, opinion. Being means eternal, unchanging and intelligible by reason. So, becoming is intelligible by senses. You know the word of becoming through senses. These people in the cave, they look at the shadow and they think that is real. Why? Because they depend on their eyes. They depend on their eyes. But when one of them goes out, he starts using his reasoning. So, when you are depending on the eyes, you are in the world of becoming. But when you move from the sensory perception to reasoning, wisdom, intelligence, then you come to the world of reality. Okay. What does upper world mean? Look, in the cave is down here, right? And here's an opening, and this prisoner walks up to the door of the cave. He climbs up, and finally he comes to a higher place from where he can see the sun, the moon, the stars, the trees, the world, everything. So this upper world means the world of ideas. The world of ideas. The world of reality. So what is upper world? This upper world is outside the cave in the allegory. And this upper world refers to true forms of things, right? And this upper world represents the intelligible world or the world of essential form. Upper world means this world. The world of forms, the world of ideas, right? And in this upper world, everything is perfect. In this upper world, everything is perfect, unchangeable, right? As compared to the upper world, we have the lower world. In the lower world, everything is changeable, transitory, it gets destroyed. Upper world, eternal, upper world, eternal. Lower world, momentary. Right? Okay. Then, okay, what do the shadows represent? In the allegory, you see the cave, there are shadows. So these shadows represent a false vision of reality. A false, for example, if I stand here at the door like this, now I see the shadow is moving, and I falsely think that that is real. I should know that is the shadow of this thing. So in comparison to that shadow, this is real. But this is also not perfectly real, because this has been caused by that son, God, right? That thing. So what does the shadow represent? It represents false vision reality. It represents illusion created by the objects. There is fire, and as I stand here, for example, if I stand like this, now I should know that that shadow is caused by this fire. So that shadow is not real. This object is more real. Okay. Next. What do the reflections represent? Look here. एकछिन नाम थियो ल आज मलाई थाहा छ I am serious and topics are serious. I know. We have shadows, right? And above shadows we have reflections. So reflections are higher level of perception. Reflections are truer than shadows. But reflections are not absolute truth. They are perfect way. You right? They are higher level of perception than the shadows, but not complete reality, right? So they are closer to the true forms, closer to reality than the shadows, but they are still distorted and imperfection. People say glass liyo, ani glass ma चाहिँ pencil हाल्नु, अनि पानीमा डुबेको पार्ट हो पेन्सिल त्यो बाङ्गो देखिन्छ. तिमीले ग्लासमा पानी लियो, सिसा ग्लासमा, अनि त्यसमा पेन्सिल राख्यो भने पानी भित्र भएको पेन्सिलको पार्ट हुन्छ नि, त्यो बाहिरको भन्दा बाङ्गो देखिन्छ नि. त्यो बाङ्गो हो त, क्रुकेट टेढो हो त होइन नि. यसले के थाहा भयो? त्यो रिफ्लेक्सन पनि कम्प्लिट ट्रु छैन, आँखा छकिन्छ कि. ओके, नाउ what are the objects themselves represent? The objects, they represent true forms of things. For example, the shadow is false, the guy walking down the road is true, right? Now, the prisoners cannot see the objects, so they don't know the reality. So objects represent the true forms. Objects represent the true forms. But please understand, the objects are also not perfectly true. They are more true, truer than the shadows. Okay. Then, light of the moon, star, spangled heaven, and the sky and the stars by the night. What do they represent? So these things represent a higher level of perception because they are at a higher level. Stars are in the sky, sun is in the sky, moon is in the sky. They are physically at a higher level and they represent higher level of perception and knowledge, right? Than the fire and the object. The fire is in the cave, objects are below. So the fire and the objects represent lower level of perception. The moon, the sun, the sky, the space, it represents higher level of perception. Okay. Then, what does the sun or the light of the sun represent? This is very important. The sun represents ultimate form of goodness. Look, good. G-O-D, God is good. God is good. Nothing is better than God. Nothing is better than God. So the sun stands for ultimate goodness. And Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. So the sun stands for ultimate goodness, it stands for God. Just as we know everything in this world because the sun rises. Just imagine the sun stops rising. There will be forever darkness. And if there is darkness, we won't be able to see things. So in this world, we see things because of the sun and its light. In our sense, we know reality only because of God. Only because. So what is ultimate reality? God is the ultimate. Though we don't have the word God exactly, we have the word goodness. So good is God, God is good. Good is God and God is good. Okay. So once again, the sun is the principle of ultimate reality, ultimate goodness, source of light, truth. Right? The sun symbolizes the